The desert moons of Draker were no place for mercy, yet it was on those very dunes that Kalen, a simple human wanderer, made a choice that would alter the course of two civilizations. Beginning the rescue, Kalen had never planned to be on Draker. His freighter had broken down in orbit, forcing him planetside to scavenge parts from the market in the lawless settlement of Veros. Slave markets thrived here, the stench of cruelty mixing with the heat of the twin suns. He hated the place. He had grown up in the Terran colonies, where slavery was outlawed centuries ago, and seeing cages of beaten creatures turned his stomach. Yet Kalen kept his head down. A man alone could do little against the armed syndicates who ran the bazaars. And then he saw her, a child small and terrified, pressed against the bars of a cage. Her skin was silver blue, shimmering faintly in the sunlight, and her eyes glowed like molten amethyst. Chains bit into her wrists. The slavers barked in guttural tones, shouting her price to the crowd. Zarathian royal stock, the auctioneer boasted. Unbroken, untouched, valuable. Kalen's blood ran cold. A princess? Or at least nobility. Zarathians were one of the galaxy's most reclusive empires, their royalty rarely seen. The girl's eyes locked with his. In them he saw terror, but also a plea. He couldn't walk away. That night, Kalen crept through the alleys of Veros. He had no weapons but a wrench and a shock baton. He stalked the cages until he found her again. The guards lounged lazily, drunk on spice wine. With swift precision, Kalen disabled one with a baton, then jammed the wrench into the cage lock until it snapped. The girl darted into his arms without a word. Her chains clinked as he carried her into the shadows. Blaster fire erupted behind them. Alarms blared, but Kalen knew the city's underways. They slipped through sewer tunnels, past vermin and toxic sludge, until they reached his freighter. As the engines roared to life, Kalen looked at her. She was trembling but fierce, her gaze unbroken. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Serenia." He didn't know it then, but he had saved the heir to the Zarathian throne. Middle, the separation. Kalen smuggled Serenia out of Draker under forged cargo manifests. The journey was perilous. They were chased by syndicate raiders, hunted by bounty hunters, but Kalen never let her out of his sight. During those weeks, she began to trust him. He taught her how to hold a wrench, how to patch fuel lines, even how to laugh again. She told him fragments of her life, stolen from her convoy by slavers, stripped of her guards, cut off from her people. At night, she whispered to the stars, and how her ancestors ruled among them. He thought it was a child's dream. Eventually, Kalen brought her to a neutral station near the Zarathian border. Imperial guards were already searching for her, their banners gleaming. When they saw Serenia, their stoic faces cracked in relief and awe. Kalen watched as they took her hand, bowed deeply, and called her High Princess. His stomach sank. She was no ordinary girl. Serenia looked back at him as the guards led her away. Her lips trembled as though she wanted to speak, but the words never came. Instead, she pressed something into his palm, a small pendant shaped like a star. "For when we meet again," she whispered. And then she was gone. Kalen never expected to see her again. Life dragged him onward, odd jobs, broken ships, lonely journeys. Sometimes he'd touch the pendant and wonder if she even remembered him. 2 decades later, the return. 20 years passed. Kalen's hair streaked with gray, his freighter now more rust than steel. He had become a ghost drifting through the border worlds, until the day the skies split open. On the frontier planet of Taro, where Kalen was trading scrap, the clouds parted as an armada of Zarathian warships descended. Sleek vessels of silver and obsidian filled the heavens, their engines roaring like storms. The townsfolk panicked, thinking invasion. From the flagship, a broadcast crackled. A voice filled the air, powerful, regal, unmistakable. "This world need not fear. I am Serenia, queen of the Zarathian star realm." Kalen froze. The pendant around his neck seemed to burn with heat. Her voice, older, stronger, but still hers. Crowds gathered as a shuttle descended into the square. From it emerged a woman draped in radiant armor, her eyes glowing with amethyst fire, the same eyes that had once pleaded with him through cage bars. She scanned the crowd, and her gaze landed on him instantly. "Kalen," she whispered, before the soldiers or courtiers could react. The queen of an empire ran forward and embraced a ragged, weathered human. The crowd gasped. The soldiers shifted uneasily. But Serena only smiled through tears. "You saved me," she said, her voice breaking. "When I was nothing, when I was lost, you risked everything. For 20 years, I have searched every frontier, every registry. I swore I would find you." Kalen could hardly speak. "You remembered?" Her laughter was soft. "I carry your face in every dream. Without you, I would never have seen my people again. Without you, I would not be queen." The conflict. Not everyone welcomed Kalen. The Zarathian High Council viewed him as a dangerous influence. "A human scavenger," they sneered, "unfit to stand beside our sovereign." Rumors spread quickly that the queen was bewitched, that this human sought power. Assassins stalked Kalen, blades dipped in poison, shadows whispering a betrayal. But Serena defied them all. She brought him into her palace, made him advisor, companion, and trusted voice. "You gave me freedom when no one else would," she told him. "Now I give you mine. Stay by my side." Kalen struggled. He was no courtier, no noble. He was just a man who had once turned a lock and carried a child through shadows. The galaxy seemed too vast, too political, too dangerous. But then he remembered her trembling in that cage, and how her small hand had clung to his arm. He realized he could not abandon her now. The ending, a new reign. Years passed once more, but these were different. Serena ruled wisely, forging peace treaties, abolishing slaver syndicates, and uniting border worlds under her banner. Always, Kalen was at her side, sometimes in shadow, sometimes in council, always her anchor. One night, under the jeweled skies of Zereth Prime, Serena looked at him across the balcony of her palace. "Do you regret saving me?" she asked softly. Kalen smiled, lines creasing his weathered face. "It was never a choice. It was the only thing I could do." She reached out, placing her hand over his. "Then know this, Kalen. My empire may forget 1,000 heroes, but it will never forget you. For the galaxy may call me queen, but in my heart, I will always be the girl you carry to freedom." Above them, the stars burned bright, silent witnesses to a bond forged in mercy and carried across decades. And so the tale spread, whispered across space lanes and marketplaces, of the human who saved a girl from chains, of the girl who returned as a queen, and of how a single act of kindness changed the fate of 2 worlds forever.